Hey campers, George here, back in the man cave. Looking at through my knives again. You know, I need to do this more often. I came across two knives I put in a bag. That's the way I do it. And pulled out the bag and, found these two guys. Kinda unusual. Parker Cutlery Co. Let's check him out. So these are the two knives I'm talking about. And like I said, they to do with Parker Cutlery Company. Now, I've seen one or two of them around. Never knew what they were called because I never really paid attention. I just saw their little symbol. And to be honest, I thought it was a moustache until I looked closely and it's not. It's an eagle with its wings out. So, anywho, I found these two in my let's have a look at later box. Now that I opened them up, they are unusual. Not very common, but they are pretty cool. So I looked them up, you know, Parker Cutlery Company. This is what I found out. The boss decided to stop by and eat her breakfast while we do our work. Ain't that convenient? Anyway, Parker Cutlery Company. Now, when I first looked them up, two names came up. Parker Cutlery and Parker Edwards. Are they two different companies? Well, actually the same company. A gentleman by the name of Jim Parker, who was a knife collector, started a knife company. He was a dealer as well. He sold knives and things like that, obviously, if he was a knife collector. And he had a couple of different knives made for him by other people. Having looked that up, they were in Germany or Japan, the manufacturers, typically. And then he did actually join up with another guy called Fane Edwards. They were in Alabama. I believe it was Jacksonville, Alabama. And they started a little factory and they started making knives. So that's where the Parker name is, which was Jim. And then he joined up with Fane Edwards to make the factory and build their own knives. So you have Parker Edwards. Now you'll find a couple of them around, and I believe these two, one is from Parker, one is from Parker Edwards. And I've got to tell you, they're unusual. Not your normal knife you'd find. Now, the main thing is the factory that they had in Jacksonville, Alabama, they concentrated the boss wants more treats. You know, anywho, like I was saying, at the factory, they made Damascus steel knives. And I'm not sure if they were fixed blade or folder. They don't really say anything. But eventually, they weren't together very long. It was a couple of years. I want to say 1976 to 1978. It was like 2 years. But they had a huge influence on knife makers in the US. And eventually, Jim Parker bought out Fane Edwards and just went on his own. He then went on to make a series, and it was called the Eagle series, that really impressed a lot of people. So he had a huge influence on that. And that was just for a couple of years, but it was a series called the Eagle series. And I think it was around 1980 to 1984, 79 to 84, I think it was. And he made all this series of knives, and people really liked him, became extremely popular. Interestingly enough, no Parker Eagle series knives were made after 1989. So they just stopped the production on it. So if you find one, it's before 89. There were They did come out with an anniversary bunch of knives. I think it was Bulldog brand. They collaborated and produced a bunch of knives for quite a while. And they actually took it outside of the US. Can't remember what the brand name was. Parker, something like Imai, something like that. Anyway, they produced outside of the US. Now, the ones I've seen, no matter what they're called, will be labeled either Germany, Japan, whatever. And if they're made in the USA, it'll say made in the USA. Now, it's interesting. There's a lot of things. They eventually closed the factory down because they felt that they grew too quickly, too many employees, and their quality was dropping off. So they shut the factory down. And he went one-on-one. Handmade knives, just for him, made for people. In the late 1960s, Parker really started what he was doing. I mean, like I said, he was a collector and a dealer. He did a lot of different things, not just knife stuff. Pretty active guy. Here's an interesting bit of information I didn't know about. Didn't know this, but in 1960, interestingly enough, he also owned, get this, W.R. Case and Sons. He actually owned that until about 1980. Who knew that? I didn't. Didn't even know who the guy was. But there again, I'm pretty new to the knife whole genre. Hence, I'm always reading up on this stuff and trying to find out more information. Shocks me how interwoven all these companies are. Jim Parker passed away in 2002, and his son, James, Jim Jr., took over and is still really active. There's a real rough look at what Parker Cutlery was about. They were involved in a lot of stuff. Jim Parker was very influential in the knife industry. Anyway, there you go. Let's have a look at these two knives, because I can tell you they're unusual. Can't quite remember where they came from, and it wasn't easy finding out stuff about these. Now this one here, you can see it. Now all I've done is I wiped these off. I didn't clean them up anytime. I'm actually gonna give them a polish and hopefully, you know, clean them up, make a little bit more shiny. They're not quite shiny enough. Well, but look at this guy. Very cool, very unusual. You can see what I'm talking about. Look at that. Has this long sweeping clip and a razor. Yep, a razor. You can see, very cool. I didn't know I owned a razor. I remember somebody saying to me they would love to see a Barlow with a clip and a razor like this. And I thought that would be really very cool. Now this one took me a while to find, and I'll show you the tang stamp on this one. You can see it there. It's a Parker Edwards, and you can see the eagle and Alabama, USA on it there. And you can see it's on the razor as well. Here's a closer look. And the only other thing on it is it gives a model number, and it's A1500 USA. So you got A1500 USA on the back side of the clip. On the razor, it just has their tang stamp. Wood handle, very nice. Look at that. Big solid bolsters. What do you call this? Bow? Not sure. I'm horrible with that. But you got this nice long bolster here and this little bolster in the back there. You need that for some support on the knives. It does have half stops, by the way, on both, I believe. Yep. Nice and clean, and I love the way it sounds when it closes. Has a very nice sound to it. Very clean. You can see the brass bolsters there. I'm not sure what this is called. I always thought of it as packer wood, but I'm not sure. You can see it there. Very nice. Very clean knife. Is it sharp? Should we try it? Yeah, it is. I just need to, I should strop these before I do it because it gives a better look at it. Do you strop these? I would assume so. If you know anything about razors, something in the comments. But I thought, very cool, very unusual. Love it. Something different for me. Something else I need to look for. Just what I need, right? Here's the other one. See it? Now this one I really like. Couple of reasons. The handle. Look at the handle on this thing. Now they call this Appaloosa bone. Didn't know there was a thing. So this one you can see right away is unusual. You've got, this thing at the top here, right? It's so weird. When I first thought, what is that for? This one just says Parker Cutlery and surgical steel on the other side. Now, something I forgot to mention, and that is a lot of their knives, and I can't remember on this one, if I remember correctly, both knives were etched on the blade. And if you look really carefully, I don't know if you can see that. Can you see it there? The etch has gone away. But it was etched. The pictures I found of this knife showed it. So there's that. And the reason I brought that up is, here is this knife. Let me open it up for you. I got to say, their springs on that are very nice. The bolts, there's a nickel silver. This is stainless, obviously. And here it is here. Now, it's an unusual knife. Look at that. It's a 3-blade. I almost want to say a whittler. Okay. And you can look here. You've got a little clip there, down here. You've got a coping blade there. And a bigger clip here. Not much bigger. Now, you probably saw that, but on the back here, on the big clip, it says surgical steel. Now, it also is etched on one of these blades to tell you where it was made. Let me try and, can you see it? There it is there. Made in Japan. So this is one of those that went outside of the country, and it does say Parker Cutlery here. You can see there. And here's the surprising thing. It's etched. Look what's etched on the main blade. Old Remington. Yeah. Made it for Remington, right? Didn't know that. Now, the information on this I did find out is 1981 is when this guy was made. Like I said, it's made in Japan. Surgical steel, what that means, I suppose that's their stainless. Coping blade and a little sloping clip. And then your main blade. It's not a very big blade. It's not a very big knife. Now, why is this still open? I can't close it. Yeah. You see this? You press that and it releases it. So it's a lock. It's actually a lock back, and that's the lock. A little unusual. Not sure I know why they did that. I suppose because of the size of the knife and what blades they wanted on it and things like that. Certainly unusual. But I've got to say, this bone is beautiful. Look at that. So there you go. 2 Parker Edwards knives. Well, Parker Cutlery knives. Very cool. Very cool. Found them to be very interesting and unusual. Where I got them from, I can't remember. I do remember seeing this and thinking, that's so weird. And I looked at it and I thought, I got to get it because it's got this weird lock back on it. This one, I'm not sure either. I think, I want to say mail calls. You know me and my memory. What memory? So there you are. 2 beautiful knives. Well made, very clean. Can't say enough about them. Very nice. And, like I said, he had his factory. He worked with other people. They did all sorts of things. And then he just decided, you know what? No, I want to go back to one-on-one making knives specifically for people. He preferred that personal touch in his knives. But like I said, you know, Jim Parker was very involved, very influential in the knife industry in the US. Who knew, right? So there you go. Another 20 minutes you're never going to get back. But for me, I love looking up the history of these things. I am new, well, fairly new to collecting. I've always had knives, but they were a tool for me, something I carried, an EDC all the time. Never really paid into any attention. Growing up, we had a limited supply of makers. We took what we could get, and some of them were pretty ugly. Then I came to the US, and, you know, you can't shake a stick without hitting a pocket knife. And here they are, all different kinds from all over the world. Woot! And of course, I started looking at them, and before I knew it, I had a cupboard full of knives. And then I thought, you know, that's a really good looking knife. Oh, but it looks horrible. I wonder if I can clean it up. So that got me into restoring them. And then I was like, how do I carry it? Leather. I can tell you this, love my hobby. And that's why I'm here sharing it with you. I'm also kind of a history geek. I got to look up everything. You be safe out there. Especially with these razors. I couldn't do it. I shake too much. I'd damage myself. Just saying. Got a lot of projects I'm working on. Trying to get ahead. Really struggling with that. Got a little busy outside of my hobby. Life in general makes things a little difficult to put the videos out. But I'm working on it, and hopefully we can get a little bit more regular. Like I said, I'm looking to the future, what I want to do with my channel. So there's always that. And don't forget, like, share, subscribe. You know the story. Pretty sure I'll be back. I've got another baggie here. This is going to take some work. Thanks for watching. Always appreciate it. And we'll see you again soon.